Last time on BPO Night
So
Live.
I would guess overall the outsourcing opinion in the UK is very negative. And I know that you guys have worked on British accounts, and you've had, you'll see that feedback come in, and or they don't speak English, and comments like that, which is quite hurtful for people to receive. And generally, it's not because there was that language barrier. It's actually that's a really misconstrued idea. And actually, the reason why they say that is because the way that interaction happened didn't suit that particular person. So when that person provides feedback, or whatever, through whatever mechanism is available to them, they'll default to that, language barrier, this, and it's not. It's actually the cultural barrier. And then there's always an ongoing joke that I failed the initial voice assessment.
What?
Not because I can't talk in English, it's because the interviewer didn't understand what I was saying. So
That's a laugh. Oh my god. Unfair.
but do you know what I did? This is probably the smartest thing I've probably done in a very long time. I was humble enough to understand that I didn't know a lot, and I had to think smart. When I say think smart, it's like, okay, how do I get myself to a level where people trust what I say, trust my opinion? So I mean, because I started off as a consultant, so my first job was consulting. So I was self-employed, consulting for the company around culture and customer experience. So it's like, okay, how can I give people the perception that I'm knowledgeable? So I found someone in the center who was willing to kind of teach me and act like a mentor. And I mean, I even tell them to this day, and I still work with them now, that actually, if it wasn't for their help, I probably still wouldn't be working where I am now. Like the knowledge and the understanding and how this industry works, how office life works. I mean, you guys have been managers before, managed teams before, and like the office politics, the etiquette in how you should do things, and I had to learn all that because I was always, when I was general manager of a bar company, I managed myself. One of the things that I did, and it's probably the smartest move, I found the person with the most experience in what I wanted to achieve. And for the first 6 months that I was there working, I was very, very quiet. I was just taking in the information, absorbing people's knowledge, and then trying to basically work out a way that I could define a role there, for myself, because the previous people who came before me were just doing the basics, the bare minimum. And I was like, really, how can I bring a sense of modernization to this? How can I modernize my approach? How can I, work smart as well, because it's just me trying to deal with X amount of people. So how can I have the biggest impact? So for the first 6 months, it was all really just planning, working things out, understanding and learning. So I guess I had to be a bit of a sponge in that time and take in that information, and but I guess 6 years down the line now, or 5.5 or whatever it is, I still kind of carry that with me, that I still don't believe that I know everything, and I still kind of want to learn from other people. And if you're clever and you're smart, you don't have to take all of everyone's ideas. You can just take bits from this person, bits from this person, bits from this, and then when you bring it together, actually you develop a really good package of sufficient, modern, and heading in the right direction to kind of help people. So that's kind of what I did. Yeah, and I guess the early years, it was all about sort of learning. And then over time, I got more comfortable, and then I started building quite a strong client relationship, where they would really look at me in terms of, okay, what Luke is doing, or what's Luke going to do about this, and and then the perception management was easy, because if your clients are asking for your help and that they trust you, then your key stakeholders are going to trust you as well. I guess I take those words away. It's like my aim was to make myself irreplaceable. That's what I tried to do, And I remember having a discussion around because I was a consultant, so I was billing X amount. But then after a year, I was like, well, you know what? I've done a good job for you. I'm gonna ask for X amount more. So I asked for more, and a person said to me at the time, and they're like, yeah, but how can I justify giving you this money, when I can't justify giving it to my operations manager, for example. And it's probably one of the cockiest things I've ever said, but it worked. So what I said was, yeah, but you can go out in the market and get an operations manager. Where can you find another me somewhere who understands both cultures, understands the way that this business works, and is willing to learn and has a good client relationship? And the answer to that was no. So I said, yeah, that's my value in the market now. And that's the biggest mistake people make. They undervalue themselves. I've interviewed trainers in the past, and my bit is to go, yeah, I want to give you the job, but they undervalue themselves, because when they go back at 6 months, and they're talking about salary, and I'm like, wow, you've got 6 years experience and you only ask for this much salary, because they don't know their own value. And it's a balance between knowing the value of your own capability. Yeah. So if you're an advisor and you've been the top performer,
I like that so much.
You have to know your value, no?
Yes, I agree.
Absolutely. And I'm really sorry, but companies will never tell you your value. They will never tell you how good you are, because it's not in their best interest. And so you have to understand it yourself. So that involves taking a step back and assessing, okay, I do A, B, and C. Okay, how does that benefit the company? If A, B, and C is this greatly benefits the company, then your value is very high. If A and B, then your value is medium. If it's just A, then you got some stuff, but it helps you understand what you need to work on to grow and progress. So that's what I did. And at the time, it was very, very overly confident thing to do, but I was in a position where I felt like I earned it. I understood my value and my net worth for the company, and you have to look at this. Okay, if I was to withdraw my resources, how easy is it to not just replace me, but replace me with someone who is equally as competent? That's a different thing. And I guess on an advisor level, you can still look at it like that as well. You should be focusing on how do I become so important, and I think a lot of advisors lose track of that, because they just feel like a number, or it's advisor 1001. You're part of a team, so that's the TL. That TL relies on your performance week in, week out, month in, month out, for their performance, right? And then that AM who's managing that is relying on TM's performance for their performance, and then up the chain. So actually, the most important person in this chain is the first person, because if you take that, there's no performance. And I don't think advisors value themselves as much as I think they should do. They sit in I'm only an advisor, and I always think to myself, yeah, but you're the only reason why I get paid. You're the only reason why I have a salary, because if you're not there or you're not performing, that goes down the daisy chain. So, and that's what I try and do in my sessions with colleagues, especially new hires, is build on their confidence, make sure that they understand the value of what they bring, and that they're not just another number. They're actually an effective part of how this industry works, how we need to work, and I guess, Gary, from your perspective, that's why you put so much effort into that kind of employee engagement kind of thing, because you want the guys to feel value. Because the knock-on effect of that is, if people are happy and they feel valued, they generally, their productivity is a lot greater.
Yes, I totally agree. That's where, of late, a lot of companies nowadays start having employee value proposition programs, and that's why part of the engagement activities of every companies nowadays, they also have the reward and recognition programs. So that's where the training or operations and then the HR bit comes into place, making sure that these mechanisms are in place to make sure that people are valued, and not just for the sake of being valued, but really making them feel that they are confident enough to take on any task. And then also I remember what Simon Sinek once said, that as managers or as supervisors, we are in charge of the people who are in charge of making the numbers. So if you're a CEO, or let's say you're a senior manager, you're not in charge of handling, customer experience. You are in charge of handling the people who manage the customer experience. So if you're a senior manager, you are in charge of the people under you. So that's most likely maybe supervisors or managers, and making sure that these people are equipped so that they can translate, whatever skills that they can do, just to make sure that their agents or advisors or coach, so that they could make they could really add value to their customer interaction, and that will really make sure that the stats would really pick up. So and it all boils down to, again, going back, value proposition for these advisors. I think that's especially nowadays during the pandemic, but we tend to forget how difficult it is being in this pandemic, and then forgetting that these people also have got families, that they're working really hard, and then we tend to blur work and then life because everyone's working from home, etc. So it's super important that every now and then you give someone a big pat in the back, let them know how they're doing. And that's really important. Oh my God, I'm running away. I'm running with my thoughts now. Sorry. But I'm just very passionate about that, because during my time in Cebu, I think that oh my God, look, I will not mention names. Look is aware of that. Look is aware of that. Like when you make someone feel that they're not doing anything good, they will eventually not do well, because that's what you're instilling in them. So you have to make sure that if you want to criticize someone, it needs to be holistic. So the good things, the bad things, and if you're doing something bad, you have to show them how it should be done in a nice and decent way. No one's perfect. It's fine if you're not perfect, but at least be there for that person and support that person. So
yeah, and I always say to team leads and as such, is like, if you're only gonna coach people on what they do, what they need to improve, then how do they ever know what they're doing right in the first place? If you don't tell someone that was fantastic what you did there, but alternatively you need to look at this, then if you don't tell me that I'm doing a good job, then I'll just stop doing a good job because I won't know what's good and what isn't good.
Exactly.
And the same thing happened to one of the supervisors that I interviewed. So like in my current company, we have to transfer a few employees to the new program that we have. And one of the feedback that I got is that, yes, I think the managers that he's worked with are nice, and they get along well. But then again, when it comes to work, he is not aware of his skills, of the things that he's doing right or wrong. So he's really blinded whether he's doing a good job or not. So he said that the one thing that's missing is that key piece of making sure that people are coached and they are aware of what kind of value they add to the business. Because if they do not know that, they will just be lost. You don't give them you're not painting them a picture of where the company is, where they are, and where are they in that particular picture. So we tend to forget that. So attention managers and supervisors, you have to make sure that when you coach, not only are you going to give them value for what you're doing, but you also have to make sure that you show them a nice, a decent path of where they should be going. And you have to, basically that's what leadership is, right, Luke? You have to give them a vision.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the hardest things to fix is someone's confidence. Yeah. So if we're all fragile beings at the end of the day. So if your confidence is low, then your performance will be low. So, and it's very hard to give people confidence. They have to kind of earn it themselves, and that comes through positive reinforcement. Always being told what you're doing well. But still realizing there's room to improve. But at least if you acknowledge it, then the person, they'll have a spring in the step for that day. And you have to remind them. And I kind of do that with my team now. It's like, we'll sit down, we'll have a meeting, and the agenda is usually, okay, brilliant, thank you for this, that's amazing, thank you, and can we do this? The can we do this part doesn't seem so bad, because it was, pre doing that, it was like, but I'm acknowledging everything that you've done so far. thank you for your hard work. I really, really appreciate it. And I think that's kind of how I've been able to make that transition from like basically being a consultant and working very much in isolation, because I was just a team of one on my own, to managing a team now. And I think like because I've sort of remained open and listened to feedback and this and that, that's helped me understand the culture, and now I can manage people within this culture. And I've been able to adapt my own culture, because in the UK management culture is not very healthy. It's kind of like turn up, do this now kind of thing, or else. It's very like
Don't get it from me.
if I went in and did that to my team, they would like just look at me and go,
What the hell?
and then more than likely over a period of time they end up resenting me for it. So
Yeah.
Or you might end up in Tulfo. Charot.
You'll be so flick.
Oh,
Maybe
to the
na-
next topic.
Tulfo calling Luke Maclean.
So yeah, and and some people give me feedback. Oh, you're too soft on your team. You let them get away. But I'm like, yeah, but they're all still here. They're all still happy, and they all still get the job done at the end of the day. So what difference does it make? What?
Exactly.
Don't resent them for enjoying work. So yeah, so that's kind of it. And then I mean, over my time, I've learned a lot. Name drop. Over my time at my current company.
More work for me.
I'm sorry, Francis. To be fair, I've got through almost 2 hours without name dropping a single company or client.
Good job. Good job.
I switched off for 1 second. 1 second, and there we go. Yeah. So, right, cut. Yeah, I guess throughout my time I've learned a lot, and then obviously I've transitioned from being a consultant to a training manager, and now I manage a bit of quality as well. So it's been that constant progression of learning. I mean, the quality bit has been probably the most challenging because Excel and all that Six Sigma thing is I'm more on as you know from my work history, I'm more on the creative side.
Yes.
How do I find new ways of developing people? And I guess that whole kind of number crunching Excel thing isn't me. I mean, I would do it absolutely, because you need to understand. I mean, that's your basis point on how you can be creative. So I guess I'm learning the end-to-end process of that right now. But it is a challenge, and it definitely eats into my ability to manage my day. But I'm quite excited by the fact I'm able to look at the business in a slightly different way. And it's not all from the training perspective, it's also from now the quality perspective and understanding how all those things interlink to create that kind of big machine that we find ourselves in, that ongoing machine of and knowing where you sit in that and the importance that has is genuinely really, really key. So yeah.
Right.
So it's been a good 6 years. I've learned a lot, to be fair.
That's nice, and that's really humble for you to still say that you've learned a lot.
And still
Because-
learning.
Yeah,
Oo.
willing to
Like,
learn.
Yes, and I think it's very important, mga kaBEEPS, that you have to constantly. I like what Luke said earlier, that he has to be humble and take on and acquire new skills and knowledge because the BPO industry was very new to him. So I think that's one key takeaway, mga kaBEEPS. If you're new in the industry, or let's say you are already experienced in the industry, you still have to give yourself room, wiggle room for something new. So stay humble still. So I like what he said. I also and I'm basically, like, Luke has been talking for a few minutes now, and while he was talking, I was jotting down some notes. And some of the key takeaways that I've so far, and would like to again reiterate to you guys, mga kaBEEPS, is that number one is that I like what he said about not burning bridges. If there's an opportunity, let's say for him to go back to UAE, then the UAE is still open for him. I think that's very important. Here in the industry, yes, it's a big industry, but people generally know one another. Like, I know people still this company and this company because this person was my colleague before, this person is my classmate, etc. And we know one another, so it's very important that when you have this connection with someone, try to, be civil about your relations with other people. Another key takeaway, and for you guys, feel free to chime in. I like what he said about being like Luke is a very creative person, and based on his stories, I think you kaBEEPS can tell, diba? He's been in the music industry, in F&B events. That really requires a certain set of skill, and that will require him to think a lot about how to make things creative, especially for an event. And that's never a bad thing. In the industry, we tend to get lost in the hustle bustle of taking in calls, the shifting schedules. It tends to be really, it takes a toll on your creativity, but that should not stop you from doing what you want, because eventually that creativity will spark ideas. Am I right, Luke? Like
Absolutely, yeah.
Because I remember, and then Hart, remember this when we were in engagement, we'd always have fun conversations, and that's the time we're in, we'll have a eureka moment. This is what we'll do for the next event.
Correct. I agree.
So for managers, supervisors, I think you really have to give Luke refers to them as advisors because that's what we call them, advisors. In some companies, they call them CSR, CSE,
Agents.
So you have to give that time for your agents to also explore their creativity, because if that sparks, some kind of passion in them, that sparks their creativity, ideas, it keeps them alive. And that keeps them going. And eventually, in the future, what's going to happen is that they might be able to put that into good use. Like for Luke, that's what happened. Because I remember the superhero posters that you did, Luke. I remember that. By the way, shout out to Mother Joyce Caseñas. Hello, Mother. Miss Joyce is really like a mother to me. Because I remember there's this time wherein, I got sick and then she was there to look after my health. So anyway, happy Mother's Day, Mother, again. Okay, going back to our topic about creativity. I remember Miss Joy saying that Cebu is doing this fantastic work about, putting up posters about superheroes and all in the training room. And she wants that to be replicated in Alabang as well. So again, that all goes down to how your creativity will really spark new ideas on how you will engage your audience. So it's super important that we do not lose on that creativity part of work. We have to leave a room, like in a day or in a week, wherein we have this exchange of ideas, not really work related, because when people are genuinely, just like what Luke said, when people are happy, when people are engaged, when you give them time to be creative, that's when that gives them time to do a lot of things. It keeps them engaged. It keeps them engaged, and so don't ever forget that. Okay, so feel free to chime in, guys. Anyone here who wants to say something about that? Apple, Francis.
Well, for me, my key takeaway from Luke is when he said that do not undervalue yourself, especially that if you are working in the business for quite some time and you're already proving yourself, because it really happens that there are some companies that very kuripot when it comes to giving, certain basic stuff. And if you know that you really, you can perform, you can really, show to your company that you'll be working with, that you will be able to help them in order to, to meet the goals of a client, something like that. So make sure you know how to haggle professionally, that make sure that you know what your value that you can actually give to the company. So do not ever undervalue yourself. So yeah, thank you, Luke, for for sharing that. And also about the Boxing Day, my God, I really cannot move on about that because for a very long time, I knew it was really, a boxing match, not about the gift wrappers or opening the gifts. So that's it. So thank you so much, Luke, for your presence and for being our guest of honor for today.
Guess
Really enjoyed it.
your sash and your crown and your scepter.
Correct. How about you, Apple? What are your takeaways for today's episode?
Oh gosh, there's just quite a lot. So again, first, massive thank you to our guest, Luke. Thank you. And yeah, we have a lot of things that we learned today. To be honest, because I think I joined the company, I think a little sooner, so I didn't have a lot of interaction with Luke. So there are some stories, and I had more interaction with him in Cebu than I was in Manila, right? So I just knew that you had like some musical or creative background, but I didn't know that you were in the F&B and the entertainment industry. Just a lot of things going on. So I'm really happy to hear that story. And what I really learned is I'm going to borrow this line from this B movie. It's The Craft Legacy. Don't watch it if it's a waste of time. But anyway, I like this line. If you want to waste your time, go ahead. But so there's this line here that I really like that they use. Your difference is your power. And I think that's the main theme around Luke, is that, I came from his theme is all about I came from a different background. I came from a different country. I came from a different culture. And he made it work, right? So don't be afraid of that, right? So if for you, kaBEEPS, for example, if you're first timer in the industry or you have some experience, but it feels like, you can't seem to get that job, it means that you have to do something different, right? You have to find it from yourself that, okay, what can I do differently that makes me stand out, that would give me more impact, or give more impact to my customers today or to my job today. So because you can definitely learn something new, you can always be trained, right, to do something. Anybody can take calls, anybody can just answer calls, but are you doing it right? Are you making an impact? So I think that's why our industry, our country is one of the leading centers for outsourcing, because we are making an impact, we're making that difference. So and we're hiring the right people to do that. And it's really a privilege to work with my kaBEEPS here. That we're creating an impact, we're doing something, and we're making a difference. I think it's
Are we?
I'm hoping so. This podcast is making a difference. Charot. And of course, world peace. Miss Universe.
And climate change.
Climate
Don't
change.
forget.
And world hunger. Yes. But to be honest, yeah, your difference is your power. You can really make the most out of what you can do. I really love that. And of course, aside from Boxing Day, I learned, of course, you need you have to say water there, and a wing and a prayer, a wing and a prayer. Yeah. A wing and a prayer. Yeah, a wing and a prayer.
And a prayer.
Yes.
A wink.
Yes. Oh, not a wink. That's flirting. A wing.
A wink.
Like chicken wings. Yeah, like winging it for our kaBEEPS. Yeah. So, and what I noticed that there were a lot of British expressions that we don't normally hear. So this is quite refreshing. For me, I hear it sometimes because I'm dealing with UK clients. But yeah, this is so refreshing to have an actual conversation, not business, but to have an actual conversation. Yeah, with the British person. Like a British friends. So, yeah, yay. Thank you very much. Yeah, so maybe we can hear it from Francis?
Yeah, so my key takeaway for today would be how Luke just knows what his strengths are and knows exactly where to take his experience, because he deals with people a lot. He deals with music and creativity, so he's not afraid to just take on a challenge. So from music to F&B to now the BPO industry, in training and quality, he's just really open to all of those things. So mga kaBEEPS, it's not a matter of being an expert in these fields. It's just knowing what your core strengths are and just working with that. And everything can be learned. Like what Luke said, he didn't really have an idea of what the BPO industry was when he started as a consultant. He just knows that it's very similar to his previous experiences, which is his core strength. So he just reconciled that and just took it forward. He asked questions. He got his he got pointers from stakeholders and now his friends and colleagues. So it's all about that. Everything can be learned. So just don't be afraid to just go out there and try things. Don't let the thought na you can't or hindi ko kaya stop you. Go out there and try stuff. Try.
Present.
Don't knock it till you've tried it.
Be open-minded. Open-minded ka ba?
Kakapi ba tayo?
Doon na, mag-sign na sa
Ano na sa inyo?
Pili na tayo.
We have
Your agents.
yes.
Yeah. Dahil dyan we go to our financial mama.
Yes, our financial mama.
You come to mama, everyone. So, what everyone mentioned, I totally agree. So, that's all the key takeaways. But just one thing that is really, Luke and I think what Luke said about learning, right? He learned everything. Even if you don't know anything, it's how you it's just a matter of really wanting to learn. Kasi if you stop learning, I personally feel that if you stop learning, then you will start aging. I mean, I personally don't want to age, so I don't stop learning. And right now, I believe Luke's still learning so many things about. He's been to operations, training, and now he's learning quality. And if you stop learning, then that's the time na you will feel that you are left behind. And if you stop learning, you'll just have nowhere to go. But where you are, that's it. Don't stop. Don't let anything stop you from learning things. Even it's for company, for the company or for whatever. But most importantly, for your personal gain. So that's it for me. And thank you so much, Luke, that you're here, and I'm so glad to see you again. Last time I saw you was I don't know how many years ago.
2017.
Yeah, we had
Is
it dinner, lunch? I don't know. We had lunch with Luke before with
but
Rix and other
Would have been-
team.
February 2017.
Wow.
Something like that, right?
Mm.
So
Yes.
it's so nice to have
Luke
you.
2019, was it? 2019.
2019, yeah.
Yeah. Around this time.
And then, it would have been, yeah. I think that's the time you came over, Francis, as well, right? It was around this time.
Last time we saw each other was a few days before Christmas 2019. We're absolutely
Sober. Absolutely sober.
we're very sober.
The soberest ever.
Oh, yeah.
That's hard to
Very
imagine.
problem.
Lovely reunion.
And then I think kaBEEPS, one last takeaway and I think this is super important for all our kaBEEPS who are still trying to find their way, their niche in this industry, is that this is what he said, this is what Luke said earlier. So, like, as you mature, you will eventually have responsibility. So you have to make sure that you need to make a decision. Eventually, you have to make a decision. You have to make a decision whether this industry is for you or not. Eventually, you have to really start acting like an adult. If you choose to be in this industry, you have to make decisions. You have to make sure that you get your act together as early as now. If you don't want to be in this industry, and I know that there are some employees that I have spoken with a few weeks back and they are lost, they don't know what to do, it all starts with making a decision. Is this where you see yourself growing? If not, then, after 2-3 years of trying to find out whether this industry is for you or not, then at least leave the industry, do not burn connections, and then just move on with a career that you yourself growing. If you choose to be in this industry, but then again you don't have the right skill set, it's fine. As long as you make that decision, work on that, and get your act together. Because yes, eventually you would have to be financially strong and capable as you grow up. So please make sure that when you make these decisions, your heart is there 100%.
Yeah.
Because look, I know for a
I
fact,
agree.
100% he embraced the industry. And now he's
Aw.
handling not only training, but also handling quality.
Yeah.
I remember trying some QA under him.
Welcome to the Philippines and the industry.
Yeah.
And thank you for
Oh.
staying.
Yeah.
Luke, thank you so much for your time. And say hi to Hannah and Layla for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll do.
Yes. Say hi to us and thank you for lending you to us.
Lending myself.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you,
No,
Lord.
actually, really enjoyed it. It's my popular. Talking about myself is always my most popular subject.
You talk a lot. We know for a fact that Luke Maclean likes to talk.
Oh,
It's a really
I
good.
agree.
You're a really good.
Yeah, it's a
storyteller.
perfect. It's perfect because there are just a lot of insights from you, and there were
And we just need to listen.
experience. Yeah.
We just need to listen. And it's gonna be refreshing because finally they our listeners.
They won't hear us anymore.
They won't hear us anymore. I think a lot of them get
Maiba.
tired listening to us. At least now they hear Luke Maclean.
Yeah.
So that's very, very refreshing. So thank you.
It's just like
Oh, by the
BPO
way,
Night
they
Live
must-
UK version.
Correct. And then look, you have to what's the name of your song again? I know it's in YouTube. And I've been
Google. I'm getting
play
it.
that song. Can we
What's
play
that?
that song?
Yeah, let's play that song.
Yeah.
Look,
Sing. Look.
Insert it.
Should we insert a clip or I guess
Yes.
or we might
Luke
get hit
Maclean's
for
permission.
copyright.
Are we gonna hit for copyright, Luke?
yeah, potentially.
Yeah, I guess. It's with Universal,
I think-
so it's not
Yeah.
gonna get hit.
If it was me, I wouldn't do anything. You know that, but I don't know whether YouTube might ask you to take it down or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Because I uploaded it. I uploaded it to SoundCloud. I don't know if you're familiar with SoundCloud.
Oh
I uploaded
yeah.
it to SoundCloud, and then SoundCloud sent me an email. This is breach of copyright. And what is your reason to upload it? So I just replied, I wrote it, and then they let me put it up. The Universal probably tried to put the blockers on me for it. So
So
But
what's the
maybe
name of the
you-
song?
yeah, it's Apples and Theo, THEO.
Apples and
Apples space Theo, THEO.
oh THEO.
Because my TH is not very good.
Oh my gosh, is this you?
Yes. I'm not gonna watch it.
Here you go.
You know the worst thing about this was they told me to look at the camera, but the camera's in the middle, so I'm cross-eyed for the whole video. My eyes are pointing. Look, cross-eyed.
Oh wait, let me go back. Let me go
Because
back.
they were like, because I had to stand in the middle, and my eyes, they're all.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing so hard right now.
And I couldn't afford a haircut because I didn't have any money.
But that was really nice. I didn't know. That was cool. Awesome.
No, thank you guys for the time.
Thank you very much, Luke.
Thank you, Luke, and it's nice to see you again.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely to see you. Don't be strangers, guys. I'll help you out whenever you need it. Just let me know.
Yeah.
Thank you, Luke. So mga kaBEEPS, thank you so much for joining us for our episode for today. Again, please make sure to follow us on our FB page. It's BPO Night Live. And then aside from that, we also are available in other forms of media, right, Apple?
Right. And we're also on Spotify, so you can listen to us when you're stuck in traffic, hopefully not, or when you're going for that long drive. Then, yeah, just follow at BPO Nightlife on Spotify.
Yes, and you may also consider watching us through our YouTube channel, and also care to like, share, and also subscribe to our channel so you guys will be updated with our content, which happens every week.
Yep.
And tuloy ang usapan natin through our social media pages on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Yay!
Okay, so please feel free to comment down below in Facebook or let's say in YouTube. Please let us know how you feel or what you think about this episode, and please let us know what is it that you want to see or listen to every time you tune into BPO Nightlife. So again, this is your kaBEEPS Gary.
This is Apple.
This is Lucas.
And on behalf of Mami Tess, I'm kaBEEPS Francis.
Okay, and again, guys, thank you so much. Enjoy your shift.
Bye!
Yay!
Till next time.
Run it out! Flag out!
Follow us for more BPO talks and tips on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at BPO Night Live. You can watch us on our official Facebook page or on our YouTube channel. BPO Night Live is also heard as a podcast on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, and other podcast listening apps.